All right, so we are now live. All right, so the season is now over for Orange County Soccer Club. It was actually over last weekend or last episode we spoke with you, but now the USL season is officially over. We've found out some of the awards. Unfortunately, Orange County has not become victorious in those as well, but we still have some stuff to talk about. Dylan and I are going to look back at the season. We've brought a guest along. We'll introduce him in just a moment. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
As we are underway from the Champions Soccer Stadium, first time into the box, it's a great ball, and Emolson! Oh, it's a world-class goal from Orange County. Chapel off the deflection, and it finds its way in. Selmo shooting from the corner, he put it in! And there will be no second opportunity as Andre Rawls shuts it down. This ball finds the top left corner, and Orange County has struck again. Past Hashimoto, set for shooting, scoring! Escalante sits on it, and Rawls somehow was ready. And A-Bike over the top, headed down, it's in! Orange County equalizes. What a debut! Not only for the stadium, but for Sola Avalachi.
Are you ready, Orange County? This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. Follow us on Twitter at OCSC_SoccerCast and on Facebook at Orange and Black Soccer Cast. How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Samora, and I'm with you each and every episode as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. And joining me as he does each and every episode, we've got Dylan from County Line Coalition. Dylan, how's it going?
Going pretty good. Happy as always to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for always coming back and helping me out on this wonderful journey that we call a soccer podcast, or the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. And we do have a special guest joining us this week. This will be our first opportunity to welcome a guest from from the Orange County Soccer Club esports team. And we've got Roberto. He's the newest member of the team. Roberto, welcome on to the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
Glad to be here, guys. Thank you.
Glad you could join us. I know we were talking before we got started here. You're out there on the East Coast. We're starting the recording at 9:00 Pacific time. So I appreciate you staying up a little late out there to take your time, or to take some time and speak with us a little bit, because we definitely have a lot to learn about what you guys are doing there on the virtual side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. I mean, anything to get what we're doing out there and, get more viewership and just bring more attention to the team would be great.
Awesome. And we're definitely trying to do that for you. We'll continue to try and do that for you, and hopefully this will help out a little bit. So what we're going to do in this episode, we're going to basically take a quick look back at the USL final that saw Louisville City FC win back-to-back championships for the USL as they defeated our arch nemesis, Phoenix Rising FC, 1-0 out there in Louisville. We'll also do a little bit of a quick season recap. Dylan and I will discuss some of the great moments from the season, maybe pick one or two of our favorite moments that happened throughout the season, just sort of give an overall grade on how this team as a whole did for this season. Then we'll just talk about a couple of news items that have happened for Orange County over the last week. And then what we'll do is we're going to open it up. We're going to try and give a lot of space there for Roberto to talk about the esports, the OCSC esports team, and how they're doing, because we've got a pretty good virtual team as well. Not just on the field, but also on the PlayStation platform. So let's go ahead and get into a quick idea on the match. For anyone that got to check out the USL show, I got to speak with some of the guys that are part of Beautiful Game Network, and we got to sort of discuss what happened at that match and how things went. Dylan, did you get a chance at all to actually either watch the match live, watch the replay, or watch any of the highlights for that match?
I actually haven't. I was out on my way to a trail race this weekend, so I missed it when it was playing, and just saw some people tweeting about it. So that's my only frame of reference going forward for this.
So basically what you're telling me is you're just going to sit and listen to myself, and maybe if Roberto got a chance to watch any of it or see any of what happened in that final, see what's going on there.
Yeah, and I've got the stats page open, so if you have questions or need stats, I'm here for you.
So Dylan will play the part of our stat guy during this conversation. Roberto, I don't know if you got a chance to catch any of the USL final. I know it did involve OCSC, but maybe as a soccer fan, did you get a chance to catch any of that?
I actually did. I watched a little bit of it, only the second half of the game.
And so
Than me. Jeez.
so what were your thoughts on that match? Just from what you saw, the second half of it. I don't know how much USL soccer you've watched in your lifetime. As far as what you saw there in the final, what were your thoughts in the match?
Like honestly, to be honest, I haven't really watched much USL until this year. But when I was watching that one, I mean, Louisville looks really dominant. But I'm also a very big fan of Drogba, so I was kind of like, it's hard to pick. You just kind of hope best team wins.
And I got to say this, and I think I don't know if you've gotten a chance to listen to us at all, but we had a little bit of a back and forth argument with some of the Phoenix fans. Well, I guess Dylan will say it wasn't him; it was totally me. But one of the things Phoenix fans hate about, I think, almost any other soccer team is promoting of Drogba. We talked about it on the USL show. It's Drogba. It's someone that, regardless if you've watched a USL match or not, if you hear the name Drogba, you're going to at least know you're seeing someone that you've heard of and you've probably watched in the past. I mean, I take it if you play FIFA on video game, you watch soccer, you probably have watched a few matches or a few highlights of Drogba, right?
Absolutely. Played with him on FIFA too.
Yeah, back in the days, he was a killer beast on when you play like Ultimate Team. Drogba was a good one to have, especially when he was still in the Premier League, when you can build that nice chemistry. And we'll get into the video game side of things in a little bit because I have a lot to talk about there with you. I have some questions and all that. But Dylan, now that we know the outcome of the match, I think I forget who it was that tweeted out that we got at least our wish. We didn't really pick the smart choice, I guess, but we got what we were wishing for, and that Louisville beat Phoenix. What are your thoughts now?
Man, if we look at the regular season, I think that Louisville was the better team. If we look at the playoffs, I think, man, in all honesty, I guess we could say the same thing. And that's not to discount Phoenix success. I mean, to come away to Orange County and to win, and really like to hold on that last, I'd say 15 minutes was impressive, and they played really well throughout the year and had like a bad 3 weeks at the end of the season to really lose out on first place from us. Louisville was never going to catch Cincinnati, but I mean, as we saw, regular season form doesn't necessarily mean anything going to the playoffs. So I think they turned it on, and they've had that experience. They've been there and they've won it before, and so I think we saw that experience and that devotion, concentration to get them through, especially with a 1-0 win that's crazy, and especially against a team like Phoenix, which is gonna sit there and try and get you on the break all the time.
A couple of things that I just sort of picked up when I was watching the match and just sort of ideas. I think the cold weather impacted Phoenix quite a bit. They're not quite used to playing in, what was it, 40-degree temperature out there in Louisville for that game, I believe is what they were saying on the broadcast. So I think that cold weather played a big part of it. Also, we weren't seeing the Phoenix that we had seen throughout the playoffs. I mean, how many shots Drogba alone, how many shots did he kick over, the goalposts? And he almost, I think he was almost thinking it was a football match and not a soccer match there. Roberto, did you catch any of those? Did you get to see any of those from Drogba or any of the other players just like lofting those shots way above the goal?
I saw Drogba's.
It was totally un-Drogba-like to see that. And maybe what I was saying before, the cold maybe played a part of that.
He played in Chelsea for all those years. So
that's true.
But I think we've seen that a lot the last 2 years, where he's just trying to score that worldie because the goalkeeping quality is not that of the Prem. And then you see him launching out shots from 35 or 40 yards out, and I mean, if he scores one every 10, then cool. I mean, he'll get goal of the week and people go crazy. And then the rest of the time, I mean, he's trying, so that's cool, I guess. He took 6 shots on Thursday, and only one of them was on target.
And I would probably, I probably, if I was betting man, I'd say I guarantee you the other 5 were ones that were lofted. I think there was even one shot that got lifted out of the stadium. I know, USL stadiums aren't gigantic stadiums, but still to miss that badly and overshoot the goal and overshoot the stands. I don't know for sure if it was Drogba did that one, but definitely, like I said, what we saw from Phoenix throughout the playoffs and really throughout most of the season, this was definitely uncharacteristic of them. For this match, and I thought Louisville played a pretty solid match. In the end, I think they deserve it based on the way things went out on the pitch for that match. And Dylan, we got our wish, right? We were hoping for a Louisville win. We didn't think it would happen, but that's what we were hoping for.
Well, I mean, I want to reiterate again that my wish was actually for Orange County to win.
All right.
I mean,
well, yeah.
I did tell you.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, I think that was everyone's wish to start the season. And I guess let's get into Orange County's season. We're going to recap a little bit of how things went. I went on the USL show because when I volunteered to join on there, I didn't quite know that I also was going to be looking at maybe just providing a quick idea of how the season went and whatnot. But just sort of to recap what I said on there is basically, I think heading into the season, there was an unknown with this team. I think everyone hoped and wished that this team was going to compete for a championship, but with so many new pieces on the roster, with the new, a bunch of new stuff going on, I don't think anyone could have predicted confidently and said, I'll bet $1,000 right now Orange County wins the Western Conference and makes the Western Conference final. So I think heading into the season and then running through the season up until the end, I think it was an absolute successful season for this team. They built up they've started building up the brand more. We've learned from articles that have come out recently that they, in the past 2 years, they've grown their front office staff, which is helping with some of that. And just the players they've brought in, they've spent money and brought in quality players. So I think overall from the start of the season till the end, you can say it was definitely a successful season for this club, even though we fell a game short of the USL Championship. Dylan, would you agree with what I think there, or do you have a different thought on that?
Yeah. I mean, last year we obviously missed out on the playoffs, and that was disappointing, especially given the kind of the run that the team had through August and September. But we carried only 6 players over, which is pretty regular of the USL. And one of them was our backup keeper. So we had 5 outfield players that we carried over this season. And then one of them left in June, or maybe it was earlier than that.
I think it was earlier than that, right? You're talking about Oscar Sordo?
Yes, correct. So initially I wasn't too excited. I thought, okay, maybe we get a couple new pieces, but maybe under new coaching or just different tactics that will be successful with that group. But we totally changed the core this year, and we picked up really solid pieces in Duke and Quinn, and then Chapelow's leadership came in, and I think we didn't really see a lot of that at the beginning of the year as he was fighting through injury, but I think that experience really came to play, and along with Josh Weivold as well towards the end of the season, keeping everyone calm and I mean, they've had that experience like Louisville had that experience in the final. They've been there. They've done that. And I think that was the big key for us, was that we had those couple senior guys that settled everyone in and kept them calm and focused during the matches and led us to the top of the table for the regular season.
And I know we'll admit, I mean, we were very harsh on Josh Weivold for most of the season. And there was a few mistakes he was making out there. So, I mean, some of it was, warranted, I guess, the criticism we had on there. But we definitely
wasn't great with wasn't super pleased with his experience or his performances either.
Who was that?
I'm sure Josh was not.
Oh, yeah.
With his early performances.
But I think we saw that, and it was part of the plan is just slowly building him up so that once we got to the playoffs, I mean, he was the starter for every match in the playoffs, and he was very solid for the team in the playoffs. that leadership you were talking about that him and Richard Chaplow were providing out there definitely came into play once we got to the playoffs. And I think that's why we had such a successful run out there for the Western Conference playoff run. And again, we fell one goal short of potentially pushing our way through. I mean, if we would have got one goal back in Orange County against Phoenix, it's a whole different story there, and potentially leading into extra time and or penalty kicks. Roberto, I know we talked about a little bit. You really started watching Orange County a little bit more recently, so you probably didn't get to see them throughout the whole season. In the little bit of time that you got to see them, is there any anything that stands out that you saw from the team, either a player or just any kind of strategy you were seeing from that team when you watched the actual team on the field that you want to give a shout out to at all? Or
to be honest, I really enjoyed some of their possession play. I'm a big fan of possession play and trying to build it up like that. Like, just quick X passing, kind of like, the old like Spanish teams, like international teams. But yeah, that's one thing that I definitely found when I was watching them in particular.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with you that they definitely had a great they actually had a good lineup, and that led to some great possession from the midfield, and then even some of our forward players. Like you look at like someone like Michael Seaton, he had some strength where he can hold off his defender a little bit and help hold up the play up top as well. Dylan, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. We have a lot of players where the stats are there. We've got Thomas Enevoldskin. Oh my God, what is wrong with me tonight?
Enevoldskin.
Thomas Enevoldskin, who scores so much throughout the season, and then he's also bringing up and that experience is going to Michael Seaton, who's scoring and really turns it on towards the end of the year. And then we've got Aiden Quinn, who he's got a career year. Played twice as much this year as he did last year. I mean, he played all but 7 minutes of our season. Scores, I think, 11 or 12, I think, if you count the playoffs, and then the assists as well. Having guys like that who are picking up the stats are great. And then we've got the Kevin Alstons and the late season Josh Weyvolds, and those guys who necessarily aren't getting numbers, and I would say Christian Duke as well. They're not necessarily getting a bunch of numbers and assists and key passes and chances created, but their impacts are huge to what Orange County is doing. They're making runs or they're making interceptions. I mean, Yosh was pretty much winning every header, pretty much from the second half of the season on, and that isn't necessarily counted, and it's not a big stat, but it does make a huge difference to how we play and how successful we ended up being.
No, definitely. Yeah, I think this roster was built up perfectly. Credit to the front office, the coaching staff, the scouting department, because they found pieces that were not just experienced pieces, but pieces that actually fit well together out on the field. And again, that's what we saw, especially that late season run and then into the playoffs. I mean, we saw a team that found some good cohesion and were able to actually play very well together and really fit into the system of Coach Braden Cloutier. Let's do this, Dylan. Grade on the season for the whole team. We're going to talk about players in future episodes, but let's look at what grade would you give the team? And we're talking about like your traditional school letter grade. Give us what your grade would be for this team and just a quick, 30-second reasoning behind that.
I would give it an A-. I mean, obviously, we were top of the table at the end of the regular season, made it all the way to the Western Conference Final. We have a lot to celebrate, and there was a lot. I mean, there was obviously a massive improvement off of the year prior, but there were a couple blemishes in our season. The 2 matches against RGV, especially the second one in Orange County. I think it was the third match against Los Dos, where they came to Orange County and won 3-0. And then, of course, just not actually winning the USL Cup. Those are probably the blemishes on the season, but overall, overwhelmingly positive. And I mean, the stats are there. We've never been this good. We've never gone this far, and it was a thrill to watch. It was really enjoyable.
See, that's what happens when a team gets a podcast that follows them and covers them. You become a successful team, right?
For that.
Oh, come on, Dylan. Yeah, that was one thing also when I went on the USL show is you gotta take credit for something, Dylan. They were calling me the best or the most creative or whatever they were saying me the best half of the podcast. Come on, Dylan. You gotta fight for your position out there.
You totally are.
Unless you're in Phoenix, then I'm ignorant and arrogant. I would sort of agree with you on the goal on the grade. I'm gonna be even more generous. I'm gonna say a straight A, not an A minus. I'm giving that grade because of what the expectations were at the beginning of the season to where we got to. I don't think anyone would have expected it. I think we way overachieved, or not overachieved, but at least overmet the expectations of what the fans had, and maybe even some of the ownership or front office had, because I think in speaking with it, this team was built like with a multi-year plan, not just a 1 or 2 year plan. And the fact that you were able to get this far in year 1 or year 1.5 or 2 of that multi-year plan is just, again, a credit to the players, a credit to the coaching staff for what they did in setting up the team for success out there. And it was an awesome season for Orange County. And I'm excited for the upcoming season because, we're working on bringing some of the players back. We're working on bringing in some new faces. I think this club is ready to continue and keep going. So I'm giving them an A for this season. 1 half step short of a perfect season. Of course, if they would have made the finals and won, that would have been that. All right, so let's talk briefly about a couple of things that have happened in the news that relate to Orange County, and then we're going to get to Roberto to talk all things OCSC esports. One thing that happened is a signing announced by the team. And to be honest, I have to look this up. I'm going to probably butcher the last name because I don't know how to say it, but it was they signed Sebastian Despres or Despre, or I don't know what country background the name is coming from. So I have no way. I'm totally butchering it, and I have nothing to show me how it's pronounced. This is a youngster from San Diego area that has played out in England. I think he's played for Blackpool and one other team, I believe. I don't have it right in front of me. What was it?
Fleetwood Town.
Fleetwood Town.
I would imagine that ethnic background would be French.
Yeah, I mean that, or like Netherlands or something like that, or I don't know.
Consonants at the end of the word.
And yeah, I tried to look up some videos to try and just sort of see what we're getting here. And when you go on YouTube and search him, you're going to get a lot of videos from like his youth soccer in like Southern California. You will get some videos from his play out in Europe, in England. But I mean, it's going to be a pretty big unknown. I don't know much about the guy. Maybe I should go and play some FIFA and see if he's on one of the rosters in FIFA and see if I can figure out what he's about on there. I don't know, Roberto, you play FIFA a lot, but I'm sure this isn't a guy that's on the top of your list when you're looking for roster moves. Have you heard of this guy before?
I have not. I've never heard of him.
I mean, it's good to hear that they're making some signings early on. It's good to hear that they're bringing in some young players, and especially local young players, because what better way to grow your brand locally than to bring in some young guys? You know, we've had players like Aaron Cervantes, who is not just a young youth player from this area, but also a youth USA player. You got Rafa Espinoza, who joined us mid-season last year, and then now you bring in this guy from the San Diego area to help bring in some stuff there. So I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more signings as we go through this offseason, and I probably can speak for Dylan on this. We're definitely excited to hear what other players are either returning or what new players the team has planned to bring in.
Yeah, absolutely. Though today was whatever, like high school or college declaration day or whatever the hashtag is. So Espinosa has committed himself and his at least near future to UCI.
But I think I don't know how those youth contracts work, if he's still going to somehow be tied to OCSC, or they can bring him on once he's done with his college career. We'll see how that works out. But at least, you know, he gets to stay local, and, you know, fans can sort of see what he has when he's out there playing for UCI. and then potentially maybe he's someone for the future for this team.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're seeing with and
Aaron.
big apologies if Aaron, definitely he's sticking around, I think. And big apologies to Sebastian because I'll probably still butcher his last name. I'm just gonna go with Depre. That he is also at one of those points for the future as well. I mean, he's only 19, so he's got time. He doesn't need to be. Or no, he's 20.
He's right around Seaton's age. So I mean, there's definitely an opportunity for him out there. And if you watch some of his old youth soccer videos, I mean, I know that's hard to judge that compared to professional, but he looked pretty good even on those. Even you go to some of them where he's like, maybe 6 years old or 7 years old, and he's out there just totally dominating and making great passes and had killer dribble moves. So looking forward to seeing what he provides to this team. A couple other things just to talk about, and then we'll definitely, I promise you, we're going to get to Roberto for those of you wanting to listen about the esports stuff. League announced some awards for Coach of the Year and MVP, and unfortunately, Orange County was not victorious in any of those, and I feel like Orange County was robbed, at least in one of them.
Give your thoughts, Ray. Which one were they robbed in?
Okay, so they were robbed in the Coach of the Year because, again, and I think I've seen this argument all over the place on Twitter, on Facebook, on the BGN Slack channel. And FC Cincinnati had money put into that roster. They had, all this extra, resources to bring in players. They have a coach in there that basically did what you would expect with a loaded team in the second tier of U.S. soccer. And then you have Coach Cloutier. I got it. See, I'm still butchering his name. Who took a team that didn't make the playoffs last season, and many experts didn't pick to come out of the West or even make a strong push in the West, and yet he led them to first place in the West in the regular season and one or two goals away from the USL finals. I think when you look at what the coaches had to work with, how their teams performed against expectations, I think it's a runaway that OC's coach, Braden Cloutier, should have definitely been victorious in that category at least. Right, Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, he really spearheaded along with Peter Nugent and Oliver Weiss the change in the style and the structure of this team. And I remember we were talking to the last couple of weeks of the season. They said we didn't expect it to actually work this quickly. We expected a 3 or 5 year kind of plan for this level of success, and here we are. I mean, one season in, and it's working, and it's only going to get better. I think players have got to be calling the team now from all over and asking, and so we're probably going to get the pick of the cream of the crop. Not only do we live in a place where people are going to want to play, and the weather's kind of better here than anywhere else in the country, especially over the summer. We've got the results to back it up, and so I think I got to agree with you there. He did a great job turning this team around and kind of being the front of that. That was frustrating to see that Coke won. I mean, really, you can put anyone in charge of a team of that caliber and of that level, and they'll be that successful.
I mean, the team that was
improvement for them.
They were expected to come out of the East, be the best team in the East throughout the regular season. They did that. They did what they were expected to do. They did not
win the cup because
they
blew through their division, and then they still haven't won a playoff game. Not only did they not win the cup, they drew. Technically, they drew against Nashville.
The penalty kicks, yeah.
Penalties. So, no disrespect. 77 points is massive, and that's great. But
it was expected.
It was expected, and they didn't even meet the team's goal. So, whatever. Go to the MLS or something else.
So, Coach Braden Cloutier was robbed of an award that he definitely was deserving of. I think he should have. Dylan thinks he should have. I think a lot of people think he has a strong case for that award. And so unfortunately he didn't get that. And then when you look at the MVP award, I get it. Ledesma had a great season. And I think I called it even when the nominees were first announced, is Orange County has no shot at it because they're going to steal votes from each other, because Aiden Quinn and Thomas Volton were both great players for the season. And you're going to have people that are going to vote based on, do you vote on the prolific scorer or do you vote on the awesome midfielder when you have these two players from a great team that over exceeded expectations? So again, that one you don't have as strong of a case, I think, for an Orange County player winning. But I think heading into it, there was absolutely zero chance it was going to be an Orange County player just because of that fact.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with you here. There were some stats compiled by a friendly County Line Coalition member, just for argument's sake, for his words. And he compiled the minutes, shots on target, goals, chances created, assists, interceptions, clearances, and pass completion percentage. Now, obviously, Lancaster and Enevoldson, the interceptions and clearances, probably not going to be as high, but the shots and shots on goal and goals and chances created and assists should really be up there. And if we look at Ledesma stats, played 27 or basically 2,800 minutes this season. Pass completion was 69.4%, 38 shots on target, 16 goals, 72 chances created, 16 assists, 35 interceptions, and 14 clearances. If you compare that directly to Quinn played almost 600 more minutes this season, had less shots on target, and less goals by 4. So he had 27 shots on goal, 12 goals, 106 chances created, 15 assists, 54 interceptions, 24 clearances, and a 77.5% pass rating. So if you do the math of 38 or 16 out of 38 and 12 out of 27, I believe 12 out of 27 is 84.44 repeating, and 16 divided by 38 is about, I think, 81 and a third or so. So if we transcribe those stats, basically, Quinn is a more prolific goal scorer than Ledesma, and he's got 34 more chances created. Math is just too difficult for me tonight.
But hey, you were spewing out all those other numbers like it was nothing, and then all of a sudden the math's getting to you.
Yeah. So basically, what we're seeing is Quinn's played more. His effect is greater. He's created substantially more chances, and he has one less assist of all this. Plus, his defensive stats are substantially greater.
Yeah.
19 more interceptions and 10 more clearances, and his pass completion rate is almost 10% more than Ledesma. So essentially, what we're getting is, I'm not sure, East Coast bias, the Cincinnati bias. And I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati bias. It's insane, really. I mean,
excuse me. Again, I agree with you. There's a strong case that could be made for any person that's on an MVP finalist, or the final vote. Sometimes people look at intangibles or things you can't look at with stats, which I totally understand. Sometimes you get the East Coast bias because a lot of times they're not going to watch we got Roberto here who's still hanging out with us. We're going to get back to him here because we're just like seconds away from talking about esports. But he's out in Boston. It's really late out there at this point when we're talking. So you do get some people that'll stay up late, but most people, I think, in the East Coast, and Roberto, share with me if I'm totally wrong here. There's a lot of people in the East Coast that don't stay up till 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday or on a Wednesday or even on a Saturday to watch sports.
It's very true. They're worried about work the next morning.
So I mean, when you got half of the voters for these awards are East Coast voters who aren't staying up and watching all the West Coast games, they're maybe just watching the highlights or looking at stats, there's going to be some discrepancy there. Whereas us in the West Coast, I mean, we can catch an East Coast game at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon or early evening if we have to.
Let's be real. No, I'm kidding. I mean, how many times did we have during the playoffs? We had guys on iPads watching.
Oh yeah.
East Coast
at Norwoods.
Yeah. So we could do it both. I'm just gonna say you're some soccer reporter on the East Coast.
I was
part of the BGN, so you don't know what you're doing.
I like I said though, the fact that you had, I wish the league would have only had one Orange County player. I wish they would have picked either Thomas Enevoldson or Aiden Quinn. Preferably Aiden Quinn would have been the better option, I think, in my opinion. But because you have two of them on there, it's totally taking away votes from each other. And like I said, there was no way Orange County player was going to win because of that. Regardless if, the stats you're looking at that you're spewing out there, Dylan, that show Aiden Quinn has a really good argument for winning it. It's just the fact that Anna Voltson was on there with him. I mean, they're stealing votes away from each other, and being that they were the two West Coast guys, so a lot of the West Coast people that maybe are being, honoring the West Coast and they're voting, they're still splitting it between two guys like that on there. So,
you know what I think what really says is that Orange County was one of the best teams because you have two guys included there,
and the coach,
and the coach. It's wow. I mean, we're
and
serious quality now, and it's amazing.
And I don't know what the requirement is for best young player, but I mean, Michael Seaton, I think, should be considered a young player, and I don't know why he wouldn't be considered for that. But
22, so that they probably
yeah,
like U20s, I think.
Yeah, maybe that's true. All right, let's do this. We're going to talk more about these players, about awards, because we did our own award votes, and we're going to be releasing the results here over the next few weeks. We'll also grade each player from the team maybe over the next few weeks or a month to share our thoughts on how everything went through the season. But I want to now get to Roberto. He's been hanging out patiently, throwing in a few comments here and there, but now we're going to get into the thick of things with him, because he is a player for your OCSC esports team. Dylan and I got a chance to watch one of the matches tonight. We're recording this on a Wednesday. If you're listening to the podcast, it's then we were watching it yesterday, or on Wednesday, whenever you're watching this, whatever. But we watched them defeat Sleepy Hollow. I don't know if they're FCSC or just Sleepy Hollow, but they defeated them 4-0 in the match Dylan and I watched, and apparently they had just beaten them before that 3-2. So Roberto, let's get into the thick of things with you. Talk about just maybe those two matches this evening, and then we'll get into a little bit more of what's going on with the esports team.
Well, our first game tonight was a little bit off. The team we faced off against was actually last place on the standings. But we were actually going into it looking to score as much goals as we could to kind of get the goal differential. But the first game we kind of dealt with lag, and as a team we kind of got a little bit sloppy. But we brought it together, ended up winning it 3-2. And then the second game we just came in strong and finished it up 4-0. But we were just going and hoping we keep that up.
I know I was watching the live feed in there, and I don't know if you caught it, Dylan, but there was one moment. I was trying to come downstairs to set up for recording tonight, because I have to set up each and every time I record. And I was listening to the Twitch feed as I was setting things up, and all of a sudden I just hear like one of the voices, because I think you could hear whoever's feed it was, and they sort of did like almost like a oh no type chuckle. And then I realized when I looked back at what was going on, it was the other team had scored an own goal on themselves, which, I mean, I anywhere in real life soccer or in video game soccer, that's always just one of those things you're like, oh my gosh, if you're the one doing it, or you're like, great, I'll take it if you're the one that's benefiting from it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to complain. It was a beautiful chip, just in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I think the defender was trying to clear it out, right, and it just didn't go high enough.
Chipped right over his goalkeeper.
The fun stuff that goes on video game FIFA 19 soccer. Let us know, Roberto. Just sort of because I know you've just joined this team, so you might not have much experience with what's been going on with them this whole season. Or are you playing in a team in the same league as them?
I was playing
previously.
Yeah, the team I was just on was actually in the same league.
Okay, so you have a little bit more knowledge of what's been going on with OCSC this season. In your eyes, from what you know and what you've seen, how is their season going so far?
To be honest, they just put their team together this season, and they've been strong. I mean, they've been in the top 5 the whole season for standing wise. And when I was on my other team, we played them the first game of the season on opening day, and we actually beat them both games. And since that point, they just picked it up and never looked back. And then when this transfer window came up, I had the opportunity to come in and help them out. So I just took it.
So let's get into this a little bit. And Dylan, jump in with any questions you may have as we go through this. Many people, I'm going to just have to say it, many people have this sort of, I don't know, I guess, I don't know the right word, but they sort of look down at like video game sports. Oh, that's not real. That's not real competition. There you go, Dylan. Dylan's the one that's when I can't think of a word, he always thinks of the right word. But there's people that'll just look at me like, oh, I'm not even going to pay attention to that because it's not real competition. It's not real sports. It's a bunch of people sitting on a couch or guys sitting on a couch, drinking Mountain Dew, eating their Doritos, talking to each other and playing games. What would you tell people that have that opinion of esports? And what would you do to maybe change their mind on how they should think about this type of competition?
I think mainly, I mean, yeah, we're not out here running around being super active, but I think it's a lot more tactical. It's 11 guys all communicating, playing a certain position on the pitch, and if you guys aren't in sync, I mean, you're lost. I think it's more of a communication and just being able to visually, look at the pitch, know where everybody's at, and just trust your fellow players. But yeah, I mean, that's about it. I think there's a lot more to it than most people think, but most people aren't getting on here for 4 to 5 hours a night playing games too.
I can't even imagine what you guys have to do to like keep training and keep practicing on that. Dylan, have you ever tried playing any kind of online FIFA?
No, not online FIFA. I actually use that solely as a single player game. I'm the worst person for this, really.
Hey, you play Rocket League, don't you?
Yeah.
That's a big I think they have big online competition or esports competitions
They
for that,
do.
I think nowadays, right? So Dylan, you might need to start doing 4 or 5, 6 hours a night of Rocket League and get your practice in so you can become a professional gamer.
I'll just focus on actually getting a degree instead.
Hey, you can go to UCI. You can they have a program for that too. I get what you're saying though, Roberto, because the dedication you guys have to put in. I mean, I play FIFA quite a bit. I play more on the Ultimate Team side. I don't do the pro career side or the pro whatever they call it side. But it gets competitive on that. I started playing FIFA on the 14 edition. So now we're at 19. So this is the 5th edition I've been playing on, and I've slowly gotten better at it. But I'll have matches every so often where I'm getting whooped like 6-0. But when that's happening, you're playing against like some professional out in like, wherever they live for the Ultimate Team thing. Have you ever done the Ultimate Team as like a professional, or is it more strictly like the pro career stuff?
Yeah, I focus mainly just on the pro clubs. Ultimate Team, it's definitely fun, but it's become more of like the moneymaker for FIFA. So it's a lot of like, pay to play, and I don't got money to be spending like that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So for those of you that are listening that have no idea what we're talking about EA Sports FIFA 19 or any other iteration of FIFA. They have a team that's called Ultimate Team Mode, where basically, this is my easiest, simplest way to explain it. Most people know what baseball cards are, or sports cards that you bought as a kid. Basically, what you're doing on Ultimate Team Mode is you're opening packs of cards and you're trying to find the best players you can find, which is always impossible to open them in a pack for the most part. And then, like Roberto said, the moneymaker, people are then going and spending extra money on the game so they can buy extra packs, hoping that they find this great player. Like I said, that you never end up getting, because I think actually this year in FIFA I've been lucky, but I think in the past I always have the worst luck when it comes to opening the packs. So, but yeah, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about that. The pro club mode is where you sort of build your own virtual soccer player, tell the game what height you want to be, what weight you want to be, what position you want to, specialize in. And then as you keep playing, your player gets better and better and better and better. So let me ask you about that, Roberto. What is your player's rating right now?
My pro right now is an overall 88.
And how do you get to that? Does it like, if you keep playing from year to year, do you like start off with a little bit of a better player, or do you have to start from fresh each year?
Yeah, so each year it's basically starts fresh. So most people will get like the 3-day release, the early release, and just grind it as much as they can. And
then as you keep playing, that's how your guy gets better, basically.
Yes.
So that's why when you say, you know, some of these people like you, or I'm sure there's people that put in even more hours than you do, putting in probably like a full like 8 to 10 hours a day just trying to build up their player to make them like this ultimate super, you know, video soccer guy. That's where that time gets put into the pro clubs, right?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. I'm only 88. I've played a lot. There's people out there right now with like overall 92s, 91. It's
And
a lot of it's a grind.
Again, for those of you that have no idea, that have never played FIFA, that's a very high rating for a pro club player at this point in the lifespan of the game, because the game just came out in like September or August or something like that. I think September, right?
September.
So I mean, to be able to build your player up to a 90 level, where I think most of them start off around 80. So I mean, you're just playing and playing and playing and playing. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And that's why you get some of these people that really can say I'm addicted to video games, because your goal is to keep getting better and better, and you want to be the best or whatnot. So you talked about you moved over to Orange County. Can you maybe share with us what was your reasoning, or what made you, or what led you to come over to Orange County from your previous team?
To be completely honest, there was a lot of issues going on with management and stuff like that, and I just wanted to focus on, you know, my gameplay and bring my talent and just, you know, do what I need to do to help a team out. And the focus wasn't there as a whole on the team there. So you know, before the season started, I actually had the chance to join Orange County, and I actually passed it. And then so when the transfer window came and I was dealing with all that, I just jumped at it, and I was like, you know, why not? I heard a lot of good things about them. I know the manager really well, and a lot of the players that are there I played with in the past. So I feel really comfortable with it. So I just, you know, I didn't look back, to be honest.
Well, awesome. We're glad to have you on here. Dylan, I've been hogging all the questions and talk here. Do you have any the questions or anything you want to ask Roberto?
You know, I actually do. Roberto, you mentioned that you pretty much just have to kind of look at the whole field and trust your teammates that they're going to be in a certain spot, basically, much like a normal team, a normal sports team. Given that you transferred in, how long does it take to really get that understanding in a totally new? I mean, I imagine there's probably different formations, or that Orange County is using a different formation, so different system formation in a new group. How long does it take, and how do you get that worked out?
Well, one thing that's beneficial to me is that a good majority of the people that are on the team I've played with in the past. So when you kind of build up chemistry with people, you know, over the years, you never lose it. But for the people that I don't know on the team, I just basically going into it, I try to be more simple at first, you know, kind of build that chemistry, build that connection. And then as the season goes on and we get a little bit closer, I can start, you know, trying different things that I would try with the others, you know. I try to just keep it simple as possible, just to get the feel. And, you know, also I want to make sure that I gel really well with them, you know, because I'm coming into their team, you know, not the other way around.
What position does your virtual soccer player play on the field?
Center, defensive mid.
Okay, that is awesome. I've always wondered, because you always get all these. At least when I've played the pro clubs, I play the what's called the drop-in match, where you're just playing a bunch of random people get thrown into a match. You do like 5-on-5. Well, it's 11-on-11, but only 5 of them are user controlled at the most, I think, at least on Xbox. And you always get a lot of people that want to play striker, or the left or right wing or cam. They never want to play defense or defensive midfielder. So it's awesome to see like a player that's sort of dedicated into that type of position, because if you're not familiar with the game, that defense is one of the toughest things in that game, because your players on defense, at least in my experience, players sort of move clumsily and slow, and it's hard to react, especially when you're going against a quick player on the other side. Do you ever have any difficulty with playing defense, or are you an expert defensive player?
I'm not gonna say I'm an expert. I mean, there's always stuff you could learn. But a lot of the times I find my own methods that work best, and one of the things that I use to my advantage a lot is my strength on the game. Um, I think that's one thing that's actually helped me most of my career playing at CDM rather than speed.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think on FIFA 19, I think people say speed is broken in FIFA 19 is what I hear. I've always been, like I said, I play more Ultimate Team, but I've always been more of a physical, bigger player team. Like I've always had, I think for the last three FIFAs on my Ultimate Team, I've had Boss Dost, which if you don't know who he is, he's a big, gigantic Netherlands player that plays in Portugal. And he's like 6'5". And he's usually slow as molasses. Gets like a 50 rating on speed. But dude, that guy can get his head to almost anything you cross at him. And I've learned over the last three iterations of the game, I've learned how to master that cross and get that head into him on that mode. And to my luck, this season they brought in a Scream Team Boss Dost that has a 90 speed rating, but he's still 6'5". So I mean, that's my killer card. I think I've had him for like 100 matches, and I think he scores a goal almost every match. So,
you don't want to lose him.
I'm telling you. And the funny thing though is he's like buy it now on Xbox for like 19,000 coins or something. So anyone can get him, and I don't think I just think like you said, a lot of people either use strength or speed, and I think a lot of times speed wins out because it's sort of the I don't know if I want to call it like the cheat mode, because sometimes speed is just like this extra bonus for a player. But I'm opposite. I like the big, tall, strong guys. Even when I used to play pro clubs, I had like a 6'3" center defender that was just totally physical. I would knock people off the ball left and right. But then when I played against those people, would create the 5'3" little Speedy Gonzalez guys.
Those are the worst. Those are the guys that I hate.
My guy had zero chance of ever stopping them. They would just have to do, unless I can find a way to stay in front of them. I mean, once they tricked me, I was just done. I knew it for sure. And then I'm like, great. And my guys I'm playing with are going to be mad at me because I let little short guy get by me. But it is what it is. Dylan, what do you got?
What are you guys looking forward to as a team for the rest of your season?
I would say, to be honest, I think the regular season is more just building up the chemistry and getting everything intact. But I think the end goal is basically playoffs. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what we come in. We just want to be in that playoff contention and just finish up there. I think playoffs is the end goal, and that's where we need to really perform.
How does the season work? Because I know you're in the middle of the season now. You guys usually play like 2 opponents a week, or?
So we play. It's Monday through Thursday, and we play the same team twice every night, at different times.
So you play 4 games a week, or I mean 4 teams a week, 2 times a night.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, what do you know what the schedule looks like as far as like when do you get to the playoffs and how that all works?
To be honest, I don't know exact dates. But I know we're only at the halfway mark as of right now.
And then, so, I mean, it's a really condensed season there. It looks like where you guys started. I mean, you guys just started like a month ago, and then so I would assume now if you're at the halfway point, you're going to end somewhere towards the end of the calendar year. Is what it sort of seems like it heads to. Do you guys do another season like in the spring or?
Yeah, so I actually think the second season that we do starts in January. So this season should stop before then.
And then what is it that you guys are playing for? I mean, I know you guys want to win the championship, but I mean, do you guys get any kind of like perk or bonus if you guys win?
Bragging rights.
Bragging rights.
That's as of right now. That's all it goes. That's all it comes down to. Hopefully in the future it'll be something else, but as of right now, it's just who's the top dog in the league.
And maybe eventually you'll get to where you guys get to play in one of those big gigantic esports arenas in front of a bunch of fans cheering for you guys and all that fun stuff, right?
That's definitely the end goal. Yeah, I would love to be there.
How about you, Dylan? You got any other questions, or do you have a dream of one day playing in a big old arena, playing FIFA 2028 or something like that?
Wow, I gotta wait wait 10 years to be good at this game. No, I don't have any questions or no aspirations of being
Ooh,
a pro
I
FIFA
just got
player.
extra information.
Oh, wait,
So
Roberto. Okay, go for it.
I missed something. So we actually play for over $700. So I forgot there's a buy-in for each team.
Okay.
That's my fault. But basically, there's a buy-in, and at the end of the season, the winning team can basically it's I believe above 700.
And so was this something you just like looked up right now, or did
No,
someone like tweet
the
to you or
owner of the
something?
league, the owner of the league messaged me.
Oh, so so I would take it that the owner of the league might be listening to what we're saying right now. Hi, owner of the
I
league.
think
How's it
he's
going?
tuning in.
Wow.
Awesome. I guess we got to do this. Then we got to plug the league. What league do you guys play in? Just in
We
case our
play for
listeners don't know.
Virtual Pro Gaming America, but they also have a UK side, which is Virtual Pro Gaming.
Yeah, I think I was looking at it. I think when Orange County first announced that they're going to be doing this, I think was it Queens Park Rangers? I think their E team jumped on and said welcome, or something like that, and it was pretty cool to see that.
They have some major European teams over there. I'm Portuguese, and my favorite Portuguese team is Sporting, and they actually have an esports sponsorship with them too.
So then you yeah, I was gonna say he knows exactly who Bastos is.
Oh, absolutely.
I was I think last year in my ultimate team it was a full Portuguese team, and this year I have like half Portuguese, and then my other half is like a mix of Premier League and La Liga on there. So I mean, it's an amazing thing. So you guys play basically every night of the week, and is it just how does that all work out? Because I was watching the stream, and I've watched a few of the streams. So is it you guys just go on? You guys all have to meet at a certain time, and then you have to coordinate with the other team and get that all set up. Is it does that ever become like troublesome, or is it usually pretty smooth?
No, it's actually really smooth. The owner and everybody who organizes everything. It's basically all organized through an app called Discord. And all the teams basically have a manager and a co-manager that join, and that's basically how they organize it. And they just talk in chats and schedule games and stuff like that. And every day, basically, a schedule comes out with the games that night, so everybody knows what time. And it gives people a whole day to plan out. After work, stuff. People got stuff to do. So it's really well organized.
No, it's awesome to hear. And
I a little more organized than the USL, if we're being honest. Have their chops together.
Well, at least I guess in the virtual gaming world, you don't have to ever worry about losing your home field advantage. By the league saying, "Hey, you can't play at home" or something like that, because doesn't really come into play. That's just a sour thing for us Orange County fans. So let me ask you this. So you said your favorite team is Sporting Lisbon, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you this just because I know a little about soccer. I know like they recently had some problems with the club where a lot of players said, nope, we don't want to play here anymore. Share your thoughts on that really quick.
Yeah. So from what I read, it was basically conspiracy or, things going around about the manager basically getting people to beat up their like basically their own players. I didn't read up like farther into it, but later down the road, I read another article that basically said that it wasn't true. So I never found the truth out about what really happened or what was really going on.
But you guys lost a few players from that, right? I mean,
oh no, yeah.
Was it was Gelson Martin? Gelson Martin was one of the guys that was on your team before that happened, or was he somewhere else?
I don't know if that's why he left, but I think right now he's playing for Atletico Madrid.
Yes,
I believe.
I mean that was one of my favorite players in FIFA last year because I did the all Portuguese league team, and he was just an awesome player. How about in the U.S.? I mean, do you follow any MLS teams or any USL teams in the U.S. besides Orange County?
Yeah, I follow the Revs. Because it's a local team and I'm about probably 10 minutes out and also a season ticket holder. So I got to show my love for the New England Revolution.
Hey man, I'm all about supporting local. I've got a friend who's out in Atlanta now for school, so he's always at the Atlanta United games. And I mean,
that stadium's beautiful.
Support here, you support that local team. And for us, it's obviously Orange County. I mean, for you, it's gonna be the Revs. And That's a shame, but it's the Revs. But it's worth it.
I think that's one thing us Orange County fans are big on is just support your local team. I think that's one of the reasons why we're all fans of Orange County. We're Orange County people, and that's our local soccer team. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would wish we had a Major League Soccer team in Orange County, but nope, we have a USL team, and that's who we're going to support, at least as the hardcore fans and all that. So you said you guys learned in the morning when your next match is, so you probably don't know who you're playing on Thursday or tomorrow, or I guess it's Thursday already for you, right?
It's Thursday for me, an hour in. But as of right now, no, I do not know who we play tomorrow.
How about you do this? If you know, if not, I can pull the information for you. Do you know where our listeners can like follow you guys either on Twitter or Facebook to stay up to date and maybe get a chance to catch some of the games by any chance?
Absolutely. So I know that we have a Twitter, which I'm pretty sure it's at OCSC Esports. And then on Facebook, you can find us at OCSC Esports as well.
And then I would assume also another great spot to follow you guys. For those of you that follow video games, Twitch is probably another option where people can follow you and watch you. I mean, these guys, I think what happens is someone, either the manager, maybe the co-manager, whoever it is, they go log into Twitch and basically share the stream that from their screen, so you can see what they're seeing on there. But you can still see the whole field. You can see what's going on. You can see the whole play. So you get a chance to actually watch some soccer. I know it's video game soccer, but you get to watch some soccer while we're waiting for Orange County to come back in March or April or whenever the USL starts up again. And it's fun. These guys are all over the field, and it's. I know today you guys had a good 4-0 win in the second match, but sometimes you get some really nail biters there.
Oh, absolutely. It gets real nerve-wracking.
So what are your thoughts? Can OC actually go through and win the whole thing in the league this season? I'm
gonna be honest. After what we did on Tuesday or Monday, I believe it was Monday, we faced off against GRFC Esports, which is definitely the team to beat in the league, and we tied with them first game and we beat them the second game. So I'd say, if we can make it to the playoffs and as long as we can get by them, I think we can win the whole thing.
Awesome. Dylan, do you have any last questions for our guest here?
No, I don't. Just thanks for joining us, Roberto. I mean, I know it's 1:06 in the morning for you right now, so big props to you for coming on. And
no, I appreciate it, guys.
Someone who knows nothing about FIFA esports, quite a bit about FIFA esports.
and our hope is, that in the coming weeks or even coming months during the off season for USL, we can get more of you guys. And Roberto, you're more than welcome to come back and join us whenever you want. Just shoot me an email and let me know. We'll definitely have you back on. You can keep us updated with what's going on, or if any of your other teammates want to come on, we're open to having you guys on. We're a podcast. We love guests. Dylan's going to say it's all Ray, and I guess it is really all Ray. I work to get guests on here as much as possible because, people don't want to just hear Dylan and me. They want to hear what other people have to say, whether it's our opponents or whether it's our esports team or even just anyone else that we can get on here. We love having guests on and picking your brains and getting information from you. Do this for me, Roberto. Let our listeners know where they maybe can follow you if they're interested in following you on social media, and maybe let them know what your gamer tag is on PlayStation if they want to, either look for you on there or challenge you to a match at some point or something like that. If you want, you don't have to share it if you don't want to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you guys want to check me out on Twitter and Instagram, it's at Exotic Entertainment. And basically my PSN is _exotic. I just go by Exotic, plain and simple.
So your gamer name is Exotic.
Yeah, it's got Exotic, when people look at it, but
okay. And like he was talking about, they play Monday through Thursday. It sounds like you can check their matches out on. I think the guys, they throw them up on Facebook and on Twitch. So whichever is easier for you to find the video streams, feel free to do so. If you don't get to catch it live, you can still always go in and catch a replay of the match. They, because of those wonderful platforms, it gets stored there and you can still watch them later on. It's awesome to have a great start to the esports franchise for Orange County. We had a great season on the actual physical grass, and we're having a great season or so far on the virtual grass. And Roberto, thank you for joining OC, and thank you for coming on our podcast and sharing some information on that.
I appreciate it. I'm always down to do this.
Now, what we like to do at the end of each and every episode is we like to just sort of share a random thought. It can be anything. It can be soccer related. In your instance, it could be video game related, or it could just be anything that you want to just share with our listeners. I will open it up to you, Roberto. Do you have a random thing that you want to share with our listeners?
Yeah, you know what? I'll share that this is my first podcast ever, and that I'm pretty tired.
It's time for you to go get some sleep so you have a lot of energy for the game tomorrow, or the games tomorrow, right?
Absolutely.
Dylan, what about you? Do you have any last thoughts you want to share with our listeners?
Oh man, I always do. Let me think. I've been giving a literature recommendation for like the last month, so I'm gonna keep going with that. It's a long one, that's what she said, but Machiavelli's The Prince is a wonderful insight into some of the way things are organized in our world, and it's a nice little thought-provoking piece to give yourself some thoughts while you go about your day. So I'd highly recommend it, even if you just read an abridged version. Other than that, it's cool. We got one of the signings out of the way. We got at least 2 other players coming back next year. So at this point, I don't know what to do with myself on Saturdays. But I do know that tomorrow night, or if you're listening to this when it's released, so Thursday night, November 15th, you can go watch UCI's men's soccer team take on Grand Canyon University in their NCAA championship match at 7 o'clock, and it's like $10 for tickets. So I'll be there.
What is it? You can, Zot.
Zot. Yeah, I mean that's where Mats Bierman and
Gio
Godoy and
now Rafa.
Yeah, and Rafael Spinoza have attended or are attending. So I would recommend, if you need more soccer in your veins like I do, that's where to get it.
Awesome. I hate to end it more on a somber note, but I want to, offer just the thoughts to all of those that have been affected by the California wildfires in both Northern and Southern California. It hit the sports and entertainment world. Newly appointed coach for Las Vegas Lights, Eric Winalda, lost his house in the fire. I think a manager from Philadelphia or Boston in baseball, I think Philadelphia, lost his house in the fire, and a bunch of celebrities have lost their house in the fires out there in Malibu and Thousand Oaks or wherever those fires are going on. I know those are tens of miles away from where we are here in Orange County, where we record our podcast and where most of our fans live. It's still just sad to see that type of destruction happening, and just wishing the best for everyone involved, not just the famous people, but everyone, and just safety and all that, and hoping that can all get controlled and everyone's life can hopefully get back as close to normal as possible. I could not imagine having to live through stuff like that or go through stuff like that. And I it's just something that I shared on the USL show. I made sure to make a point to share that because I just wanted to make sure people know that it's devastating what's going on right now. So hopefully all those people are able to stay safe, and the destruction can, I guess, stop. But with that said, other than that, this weekend, or not this weekend, I hate international break. Hopefully Tottenham comes back on and we can win some more matches.
Bye, Andy. Thanks for listening.
Hey, we wait till the very end to say that, though, Andy.
And you know what? Big shout out to Andy for compiling those stats today while he was at work.
So he was the big stat guy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that said, I want to say thank you to all of our listeners. For those of you listening for the 1,000th time, or not 1,000th time, but for those of you that continue to listen to us each and every episode, thank you for coming back every episode. For those of you listening to the very first time, if you want to hear what we have to say, head over to our website, orangeandblacksoccercast.com, or look for us on your favorite podcast provider to listen to some of our older episodes. Want to remind everyone we are part of the Beautiful Game Network, bgn.fm, where you can find our podcast plus many other wonderful podcasts, the USL Show, which I was a guest on this past week. Also, check out Angels on Parade for more Orange County soccer news. Make sure you follow the Orange County Esports Twitter account, Facebook account, so you can stay up to date on what's going on with them. Again, that is at OCSC Esports. And also on Facebook, you can just search for OCSC Esports and you can find them on there or on Twitch. Again, thanks to Roberto for joining us. Dylan, as always, thank you for coming back onto our podcast. And this is Ray Samora for the Orange Black Soccer Cast, and we are out.
I'll still be singing way up in the sky. Whoa, oh, God, you are my team until the day I die. And when that happens, I'll still be singing way up in the sky.
Podcasts are a great way for your business to advertise to target audiences. And the Orange and Black Soccer Cast is looking for advertisers like you. If you're interested in advertising your business on our podcast, please email us at info@orangeandblacksoccercast.com. The Orange and Black Soccer Cast has joined forces with many other soccer podcasts, many of them focusing on the USL. We're now part of the Beautiful Game Network, bgn.fm.